They are everywhere. The hum, the click, the thing whining past your ear. Right now, the air around your head is so thick with insects that you wave your hand through it without thinking. In a few weeks, that same air will be completely empty and it will stay empty for months. Here's the part that should unsettle you. Almost none of them are going anywhere. Lift 1 square meter of dead leaves in February and you would pull out around 16,000 of them. They will be in the soil. They will be under the bark of the tree you park beside. Some of them will be inside the walls of the room you are sitting in right now. And a few of them will be frozen so completely that their hearts have stopped. Ice has replaced 2/3 of the water in their bodies, and in April they thaw out and walk away. Winter does not empty the world, it pauses it. And the decision about which of them survives is being made this month while it is still warm. Most people think insects go somewhere in winter, south, like birds, or underground to sleep it off, or that they simply die and a fresh batch appears in spring. All three of those answers are wrong, and the truth is stranger than any of them. Science was slow here, too. As recently as 2010, the textbook list of ways an insect survives the cold was still missing an entire category, and the thing that filled it sounds like it should be impossible. So here is the question almost nobody thinks to ask. Where do insects actually go in winter? The honest answer is almost nowhere. And what they do instead of leaving is far harder to look at. Before the end of this, you will meet an insect that walks across snow with a body temperature of -7 degrees and a thermal camera that caught it doing something no animal should be able to do. It senses ice forming inside its own leg, and it tears that leg off. It has about half a second to make the call. Hold on to that. We are coming back to it. Because every winter of your life, you assumed they went somewhere. They never left. You have just been standing on them. Start with the ones that genuinely do leave, because that is the answer you expect, and it is far bigger than you expect. In 2016, researchers at Rothamsted Research published 10 years of data in the journal Science. They had pointed radar straight up at the sky over southern England and counted what crossed it. Above one small, cold, damp country, roughly 3.5 trillion insects migrate every year. 3,200 tons of animal, moving overhead, most of it higher than 150 meters, which is why you have never once seen it. That is 7 times the mass of every songbird that leaves Britain for Africa. And the lead researcher's point was blunt. England is cold and dry. Run this anywhere else and the number goes up. Some of them are doing something harder to believe. The common green darner is a dragonfly the length of your finger. In 2018, a team read the chemistry locked inside 852 dragonfly wings. Some of them pulled out of museum drawers 140 years old and reconstructed the route. It takes 3 generations to complete a single lap. The first flies north more than 650 kilometers, lays eggs, and dies. Its children fly south more than 680, lay eggs, and die. The third generation waits out the winter in the south, and its children start the whole thing over. Read that again. No individual dragonfly has ever seen where it is going. Not one of them is following anybody. The map is not learned, it is inherited. But migration is the exception, and it is the gentle part of this story. For almost every insect alive, leaving is not an option. What happens instead begins somewhere you would never think to look. It begins with light. Everyone assumes cold is the trigger. It isn't. The insect decides months before the first frost, and it decides by counting daylight. To do that, it has to measure the length of a day, tell a long one from a short one, count how many short ones have gone by, store that number in its brain, and act on it later at exactly the right stage of its own development. And the threshold is razor thin. In the fall webworm moth, the cutoff sits between 14 hours and 30 minutes of daylight and 14 hours and 45 minutes. 15 minutes of daylight decides whether that animal shuts itself down or keeps living. It is still warm. There is still food. The insect does not care. Its clock has already run out. What happens next is not sleep, and the difference matters. It is called diapause. Sleep can be interrupted. Diapause cannot. It is a shutdown with a lock on it, and the animal cannot choose to wake up because the afternoon turned pleasant. Keep that lock in mind. By the end of this, you will see why the mildest, kindest winter is the one that kills the most of them. We'll get there. Now it stops being scheduling and starts being surgery, because the body has to be taken apart. The first thing an insect does is empty its own gut, not because it has finished eating, because every crumb of food and every microbe living in that gut is a seed crystal, a place where ice can start. So it flushes them out, then it deliberately dries itself out because less water is less to freeze. Then it floods its blood with glycerol and sorbitol, which is antifreeze in the most literal sense. And last, it manufactures proteins that lock onto ice crystals the instant they appear and hold them still. The effect is measurable. A codling moth larva that freezes at -15 in July will not freeze until -26 in January. Same animal, rebuilt from the inside, that is how you avoid ice. And then there are the ones that do the exact opposite, and this is the part that breaks people. Some insects survive winter by freezing themselves on purpose, not surviving a freeze, causing one. They build proteins whose structure imitates the shape of ice, and they use them to trigger crystallization early, at around -2, long before they would ever freeze on their own. Which sounds like suicide until you see why. If a body supercools and then freezes all at once, ice detonates inside the cells and shreds them. So the animal starts the process early and slow, and forces every crystal to grow outside its cells instead of inside. The ice pulls water out, the cells shrink, and they hold. By the end, about 65% of all the water in that animal is solid ice. Its heart is not beating, and it is not dead. The best studied is the goldenrod gallfly. Its larva spends 11 months inside a hard ball on a goldenrod stem. Goldenrod stems are stiff, so that ball sits above the snowline all winter, with nothing insulating it at all. It survives -35 and colder. And here is the detail that should stop you. Scientists can measure respiration in a frozen larva. It is still developing in there. Its life is still running inside a body that is a block of ice. They never left. You have been standing on them. Now push it to the edge because a beetle in Alaska does something that had to be added to the textbooks. Larvae of the red flat bark beetle live under the bark of fallen trees in interior Alaska, where the air drops to -40. In winter, they routinely supercool to -35, -42. One individual was recorded at -58. But below -58, something else happens entirely. The larva does not freeze, it vitrifies. Whatever fluid is left in its body stops behaving like a liquid and turns to glass, and it will not crystallize down to at least -150. In 2010, researchers confirmed that 7% of them survive being taken to -100 degrees Celsius. It is not an insect that endures winter. It is a piece of biological glass with a beetle folded up inside it. And there is a caterpillar in the high Arctic that takes 7 years to become a moth, because it can only feed for a few weeks each summer. It spends about 90% of its larval life motionless among rocks and freezes and thaws 7 separate times before it ever pupates. In Diapause, it tolerates -70. And the thing that kills 3/4 of them is not the cold at all. It is parasitic wasps. Sit with that. The animal that can survive -70 is mostly killed by something warm. Now come closer because some of them are indoors and one of them is in your walls. If ladybugs ever appear on your ceiling on a warm January afternoon, that is not an accident. Asian lady beetles enter buildings by the thousand. 10 to 20,000 have been counted inside a single house. Researchers worked out how they choose. From a distance, they navigate by the silhouette of the building. Up close, they land where light meets dark in sharp contrast, which is why they blanket one wall and ignore the next. And once they settle into a crack, they leave an aggregation pheromone behind. It is still there next autumn. Your house has been marked, and they will come back. Then there is the mosquito. Females of the northern house mosquito spend the winter as adults in caves, culverts, and unheated basements, and the decision was made before she could fly, back when she was a larva in a puddle. Programmed for winter, she stops hunting blood entirely and gorges on nectar until her fat body swells. Researchers watched the genes for digesting blood switch off and the genes for building fat switch on. Then she hangs on a wall, motionless, for months. And in Europe, West Nile virus has been found inside those overwintering females. The virus cannot survive the winter outside. It survives inside her. She is not just waiting out the cold, she is carrying something through it. And some insects never shut down at all. They wait for winter because winter is empty. Winter stoneflies crawl out onto snowbanks to breed in a world with almost no predators left. Snow fleas produce an antifreeze protein so unlike anything in fish, plants, or any other insect that it must have evolved completely independently. It drops their freezing point by nearly 6 degrees, which brings us back to the snowfly. The snowfly is a craned fly that gave up flying. No wings, no flight muscles at all. The female uses the empty space in her thorax to carry extra eggs. She runs across the surface of snow from October to May, and her preferred temperature is around -3. In 2023, a team at the University of Washington collected 256 of them and filmed 77 walking on cooled plates under a thermal camera. They kept walking down to an average body temperature of -7, which is well past the point where an ordinary insect is paralyzed. At that limit, ice finally crystallizes in the blood, and it races through the body, and the animal dies. Except most of them didn't die. More than half of them dropped a leg. Going back through the footage, one researcher spotted a spike of heat inside a leg in the instant before it came off. That spike is the signature of freezing, because water gives off heat as it turns to ice. The fly appears to feel the crystal starting in its own limb, and cut that limb loose before the ice front can reach its organs. The window is roughly half a second, an insect the size of a grain of rice alone in the dark on a snowfield, making that trade. Now, the honest catch, because this is the point where a lot of videos quietly lie to you. Everything you have just heard is about surviving. For most insects, there is no surviving. The wasp circling your table this week will not migrate and will not sleep under a log. She is gone. Her whole colony is gone. One mated queen is buried a couple of centimeters down, alone, carrying every gene that colony had. And she may stay there 9 months. That is true across the insect world. For a huge share of species, the individual simply dies, and what makes it through winter is an egg, a pupa, or one single female. Which means the question was slightly wrong from the beginning. Insects do not disappear in winter. Specific insects disappear permanently, and the species walks out the other side. The thing you see in May is not the thing that vanished in October. It is its child, and now the part I told you we would come back to, because this is the one that should genuinely bother you. We assume a hard freeze is what does the damage. Increasingly, it is the opposite. 15 centimeters of snow will hold the ground at 0 degrees no matter what the air is doing above it. Strip the snow away, and you strip off the blanket. But warmth is worse than exposure. In a mild winter, the metabolism never drops far enough, and the animal spends fat it has no way to replace. Ladybirds kept through a warm winter survived better, and then arrived at spring hollowed out, with far less resistance to starvation. When researchers modeled 8 species across the Great Lakes in 2025, 3 degrees of warming reduced deaths. 5 degrees increased them. There is a tipping point, and we are walking toward it. A cold winter puts them to sleep. A warm one keeps them half awake and quietly spends them. And the scale of what is being spent is hard to hold in your head. Weigh every insect, mite, and spider on the surface of this planet, and you land somewhere near 300 million tons of dry animal, roughly the same as every human being alive plus all of our livestock. Almost all of it small enough to sit under a thumbnail. Almost all of it is already reading a clock you cannot hear, and almost all of it is about to stop. So go back outside tonight, into all that noise. Listen properly, because it is already ending. Under the leaves, in the walls, beneath the ice on the pond, there are more of them within 20 meters of you than there are people in your city. And when the noise stops, they will not have gone anywhere. Under the leaves, in the walls, beneath the ice on the pond, there will be more of them within 20 meters of you than people in your city. They never left. You have just been standing on them. And in a few weeks, without a sound, without a single one of them ever knowing you were there, all of it goes still, under your feet, in your walls, in the air you are standing in right now. It never stops being their world. You just stop being able to see it.